Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside the Kingdom, the podcast where we celebrate our cartoonists and characters living on Comics Kingdom and within King Features. Today we're slipping into something comfortable, the Pajama Diaries. Terri Libenson's warm, razor observant chronicle of family life that ran from '06 to 2020. Am I mistaken there, Terry?
You got it.
All righty, through obviously King Features. It's a story of Jill Kaplan, a work from home designer, her husband Rob, and daughters Amy and Jess, navigating homework, deadlines, holidays, and the endless to do list that never quits, never quite gets done. Um, what set Pajama Diaries apart wasn't just the punchlines, it was the diary voice that you created, Terry. We'll jump into that, I hope. And of course, a candid narration that just led us into Jill's head. I think that wasn't seen on the newspaper page prior to, at least to this extent in that family setting. And of course, the bold choice to let the characters age in real time. I can't tell you, I love Zitz, but he's always 17. He's been 17 for the last 30 years.
He's 17 or is he 15?
You know what? I think he's been aged up. He's 17 now.
Oh, you're right, because he drives now. That's
Yeah, he
right.
drives
Yeah,
now. So he's 17.
right.
The kids had bar mitzvahs, teens headed to college, and parents felt the time warp of watching it all happen. Along the way, Terry, you've earned top recognition. You've won the Reuben. And fun fact, she did all this while building a second creative life as a best-selling children's author. I believe you have 10 books.
I'm working on the 10th right now. So,
Ooh.
yeah, you're very close.
Oh
Yeah,
my
like
gosh.
9.5.
So today we're going to trace the origins, unpack why it clicked so hard for anyone juggling work and home, and share some of the favorite moments. So with that, hello, Terry.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Of course, thank you for joining us. It's long overdue. It's a
Um,
pleasure, obviously, to meet you finally virtually.
right. Yeah, our
And
paths
talk to you.
never quite crossed between the end of the retirement of the strip
Yep.
and yeah, and all that pandemic stuff and and
All that
you're
stuff
coming
that
on board. Yeah, so it's lovely to meet you
Thank
too.
you, thank you. All the stuff that comes along. I'm so happy that you're here. Obviously talking Pajama Diaries and all the other stuff that you have going on. Um, well, before we even jump into the origins of the strip and so on, uh, maybe we can just put a stop for a moment there and talk about the activity that you've had since the strip, um, and moving into, I guess, being a graphic novelist or a children's book novelist.
Sure. Well, it's been a ride. Yeah, I honestly, my big dream before getting syndicated was syndication, and
Really?
I thought that's where it was going to end. That was it. That was my ultimate dream fulfillment right there, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, I kind of surprised myself with this segue into into these books. But yeah,
Was
yeah.
Was there any one impetus? Was it just time that said that was it a calling?
Yeah, I mean, I've had cartoonist friends who kind of branched out into them, and so my timing was starting to become aligned with that. This was a bit early on though, and so I tried it to try it.
Okay.
I didn't even know I could write for 8 to 12 year olds, but it turns out that I'm stuck at 12 apparently because because it was like word vomit when I wrote the first one, and it just felt so natural, and I loved it, and it was quite interesting the way I wrote Invisible Emmy, which was my first book of the
Hmm.
series. I wrote it very unlike the way I write my other books. That is to say, I didn't use any kind of outline or structure. I just wanted to see where the writing would take me.
Right.
Um, and and now because I'm on a constant deadline, I use a lot of structure. I use outlines, things like that. I pretty much know the beginning and ending of the book and the major bullet points in between. But when I wrote Invisible Emmy, it was really funny because it was while I was still working on the strip. And I think I wrote it in 2015. So, I was still like 5 years before
Yeah.
I retired the strip. And I just remember thinking, well, as much as I love the strip, this is great because I could tangent off. I could get as detailed as I want with the writing because they're not quite graphic novels. They're more like hybrids. So they're part prose, part graphic novels. So for the prose chapters, I just went all out. I just let myself go. So it was a lot of fun and something kind of different for me at the time.
Well, that's great. Actually, I wonder, we'll jump back into origins, right, in the timeline of Pajama Diaries. I wonder if you picked up any of that during the strip. Maybe we can uncover some of that
Sure.
during your tenure while working on the strip, I should say. So obviously, we're going to talk about how it began, Pajama Diaries. What was the click moment, I guess, that told you Pajama Diaries needed to exist?
Oh, you're making me think. And remember, the short-term
Your,
memory,
your,
not
your,
so good.
your closest approximation to
No, I do. Actually, I do remember. I do remember pretty well. So I remember, I remember before Pajama Diaries, I was working with Jay Kennedy back in the day because I had actually started a weekly strip with King Features Weekly Service,
Mhm.
and Jay kind of spearheaded that for me, and I did that for 2 years, and it was such a great stepping stone for me because really I was just writing that once a week. It was just for weekly papers, and it gave me insight into whether or not I really wanted to pursue a daily strip because that
Mhm.
was my ultimate goal. And I realized it really was. I really enjoy working on it. I'm like, oh God, yes, I could do this. I could do this 5 to 7 days a week and nights. And and so I remember I was able to end the weekly strip, and then I took some time off, and this was at the same time that I had really really young kids. They were pretty much babies at the time, and I was going crazy. Like, of course I was, like every parent with two young kids. And I was reading a lot of books about, the chaos that especially working moms felt
Yeah.
at the time. Um, and at that time too, there was that whole mantra of, oh, you could do anything. You could have it all.
Yeah.
Of course we know, that's kind of BS. Well, you can have it all. You just have to kind of do it one at a time or
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a lot of help.
Yeah.
But so there was sort of that debunking of that myth, and there were a lot of books on that topic as well. And I was doing a lot of reading about that. And there were fictional books that were coming out around that time too. I remember the one book. I'm trying to remember. They made a movie out of it too. I can't. Okay, I can't remember the title. I'm
It's okay. It's
my
okay.
my my memory going awry again. Uh, but anyway, I was doing a lot of reading about that particular subject, and because it was so close to home, and I realized, wait a minute, I think there needs to be a cartoon character who just embodies this poor challenged woman who is trying to juggle everything at once and be everything to everybody at once, um, and there were definitely moms portrayed in the comics, but probably not quite to this extent of
Yeah.
like pure realism. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, the only one I could think of would be For Better or For Worse, Lynn Johnson's strip. That probably came the closest in my mind at the time. So yeah, and I felt like, well, to really get inside her headspace, why not do it in diary form? So I gave myself twice the work because not only did I have to write dialogue and make it funny, but I had to write narrative at the same time and
Yeah.
also make it funny. So I usually had to write two gags in one strip and
Oh boy.
tie them together. Yeah, I don't think anyone really, realizes that, and it probably didn't hit me until later. But yeah,
Well,
man, I was
yeah, 15 years of it, I can understand. What was
yeah.
yes, what was that workload like? Thinking abstract like
Yeah.
that.
Um, was tough at first, and it was further complicated by the fact that they moved up my launch date because I was supposed to start on Mother's Day
Mm-hmm.
of 2006, which is very fitting.
Mm-hmm.
But Aaron Magruder retired the Boondocks in March of that year, and of course the sales folks were, begging
Mother's
me
Day
to
began, right?
consider moving up in some spots, and
Yeah.
and of course I said yes, and so kind of, I kind of lost a little bit of that backlog that I needed. So it took about 2 years to play catch up. I was working hard. Plus, I was also working at American Greetings at that time
Okay.
I was working as a humorous card writer and illustrator then. So I had that job. I had two little kids. I was just launching my syndication career, and like I think I blocked out part of that time. Some survival instinct.
That's understandable. Understandable. I mean, being in that
Oh,
sort of
and we were
grind,
moving. We were moving at the same time.
I feel like all of that made its way into the strip
Probably.
all throughout that because I remember seeing the move. I remember seeing all that stuff. Yeah, yeah. Not the American Greetings part or the Syndicate part, but maybe it did. Now I
No.
have to go back and reread it, see if we can find some gems.
Yeah, yeah. It was probably under the surface, but it was nuts. But actually once I think after the first year though, once I felt like
Yeah,
my skin had thickened enough, and I was in more of the groove. I really loved it. It,
yeah.
it. it felt like it was meant to be for me. So
So if
yeah.
you could whisper one piece of like launch advice to 2006 you, what would it be?
Wow. One piece of advice I would definitely give myself is to not read comments by those whose favorite strips got kicked out to make room for mine. And did not see that coming. And of course, this was a little more pre-internet. I mean, well, on the
Yeah,
cusp.
I don't think Comics
Yeah,
Kingdom was there yet. Yeah.
yeah. It was getting crazy though. So, and I was a very sensitive soul, so that kind of sucked. But
Yeah.
but but yeah, I developed thick skin pretty fast, and then that stuff kind of bounced off, so that's good. But so I would probably just tell myself, don't take it so seriously. It'll be okay. um, and you will catch up eventually.
With
But
any luck, with any luck
yeah.
you would, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I was doing what I was supposed to be doing otherwise. Like I,
Yeah.
I was working hard, but I was enjoying it,
Yeah.
and so it worked out.
So another thing, in addition to that duality, I guess, of narrative that you were creating, you did something interesting and pretty rare, is the real time aging in
Mhm.
comics. That's really rare for newspaper. We were just joking about Jeremy. What made you commit to it? Did you ever consider undoing that?
Never, no. That's one of my favorite aspects of the strip because I work really well autobiographically. Uh, Um, I like to keep the material fresh. I didn't want to like keep repeating my jokes, things like that. I mean, actually, I think it's brilliant what the Zitz guys do because
Mhm.
I don't think I could do that myself. No, I needed to keep it evolving and in real time because I wanted it to really reflect my own personal experience and what I was going through, my kids were going through, my husband was going through. Um, I just worked best that way.
Yeah.
And um, uh, so that was actually really fun for me. And I love being able to do like different milestones through the years too. Like you mentioned the bat mitzvahs. I had such a blast writing for those because it was so fresh in my mind at the time anyway. Yeah, or like stuff like Jill turning 40 and things like that. And oh, I mean, just such great memories of that. And the kids becoming teenagers. And it's great because I got to deal with like real girl stuff and
Yeah.
adolescence and that whole transition. So It was great and very cathartic.
I can imagine. We recently did a podcast with Olivera Vukovic, who works on Comiclicious, who's also part of
Wow.
Kingdom. But one of the things that she says is how she writes with relatable humor is
Mhm.
really just her real world experiences, right? And one such funny tidbit, I guess, was she drew a gag of Liv, who I guess is her consciousness, her character
Mhm.
at a stoplight and a car honking at her and sort of like pressuring her to cross the street. And who hasn't lived that, right? Like you just that
True.
sort of nonsense. It's like, no, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. Or okay, or you're the driver and you're just like, please hurry up, right? So I think, yeah, as I hear you explain the autobiographical portion of this, it makes sense, and I can see why it can be cathartic and fun at the same time.
Yeah. Question, would you speed up or slow down in that scenario?
I remember that strip, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm the person at the light being honked at. I'm a space cadet crossing the street that needed to realize I needed to cross, especially New York. I don't know
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There's a different timing over here.
That's true.
It's like when it's orange, you have to go. Not even, yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
very green. Speaking, I guess, of cast and autobiographical, moving into that a bit. I guess who is Jill to you? Like how close is she to Terry? And I guess where does that diverge?
That's a great question. So I feel like she started off me and then she kind of took off in a weird direction. And she's still me, but I'd say she's me, but maybe without the filter so much. Because she can sort of act on her own whims in the comic strip, whereas, I definitely would not. And she's also, it's strange. She and Rob, her husband Rob, it's almost like they traded places from where my husband and I are at in real life because he's in real life he is the gregarious one. He's much more of an extrovert. I'm much more, I'm not completely introverted, but I'm definitely more of the introverted one. Like I need to recharge my batteries out, in group settings, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas I feel like they kind of they reversed personalities in the strip. Like Jill was much more of the outgoing one. Rob was more of the, quiet, didn't always,
Yeah.
speak his thoughts kind of guy. Strong but silent guy, I guess you could say. But but yeah, so that was odd. But I just went with it. And I love how characters will just, kind of emerge. They'll become their own thing. And I've noticed that when I write my kids' books too. There's such a huge cast of characters in these books, and I rotate um, main characters
Hmm.
for each book, and sometimes they just write themselves, and it's such a wonderful surprise. And I felt that way with Pajama Diaries with the child characters too.
Yeah.
Their personalities kind of took off in unique directions as well.
It's a great segue into Rob.
Yeah.
So I know at times he's both foil and support
Right.
for Jill. What was it like, I guess, writing him, but without turning him into like a punchline every on every.
Yeah, he's sort of the straight guy, but not always,
Yeah.
in this strip. Yeah, oh, sorry, what was the question?
No, it's okay. I was like, what is it? Well, I guess how did you avoid turning him into
Oh,
the
turning him to
punchline?
turning into
Yeah,
a punchline.
yeah.
Ooh, brain fart.
No, no.
Let's see. You know what? I think I was just trying to be sensitive
Okay.
to my own husband, and I wasn't always, I don't think, but it's sometimes he'd get some grief from friends, but oh, I could have gone way further than that.
Was
But
there
yeah, no, I like the kids. I tried to be sort of sensitive to, their real life counterparts.
was
Um,
on that vein and in that vein, I should say, was there ever a joke that you cut, or didn't print or didn't bring just out of respect for the family?
oh, sure, yeah,
Yeah.
quite a few times.
Would
Yeah,
you
yeah.
share it with them, or did you just do a double take and say,
Um,
no, no?
Yeah, well, okay, so I remember I remember doing or thinking of a storyline for Amy, the older daughter,
Mhm.
when she was going through, puberty and thinking, oh, she could get her period. And my daughter like completely put the nix on that. I'm like, okay, I respect that. I respect that. But then again, I also wrote about Amy getting boobs, and I wrote about my husband getting a vasectomy. So apparently, there are lines I've crossed, but either they just escaped my family somehow, or they were just cool with it. I can't quite remember at this point. But although my husband, I think he's read every single strip because I would always
Oh, that's
run.
great.
Yeah, I would run the roughs by him before any were printed. So
So he was acting editor before even
he
Jay and the
was.
group got to it.
Yeah, he was a pretty good editor too. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I guess was there ever or which family arc felt the most personal or hardest to publish?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Most personal. Um, uh Prob Probably this. I've had a few story arcs about a blood disorder that I
Mhm.
have.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to echo that with Jill. Because it's such a rare disease
Mhm.
that I thought part of it was, just my own personal selfish, catharsis. I wanted to
Yeah.
just write about it for myself, but I also wanted to kind of bring awareness about it, and I did. I got lots of emails and letters from people who are going through the same thing, which is amazing. So I thought, okay, maybe two people would respond, but yeah, I had quite an influx of people who had the same blood disorder, which was amazing.
Oh,
Um,
that's great. That's great.
yeah,
Have you seen any
yeah.
of that kind of like transition into your kids' books? Like the same people are reaching out to you?
Not for that in particular. I don't really
Uh,
write about that, but I no, I get way more mail from the kids' books, but the difference is I don't get hate mail for the kids' books.
Understandably,
That just came
understandably.
that just came with the territory for the strips.
Yeah, I think that was also you mentioned it before, and my previous experience wasn't with comics; it was in book publishing. But anyway,
Ah,
I'm here, and that was the one of the first things that jumped out to me is just the snark that's part of like newspaper strips or what's called snark, and I'm like, it's a little rough,
yeah,
but yeah, yeah, it is what it
yeah.
is.
I know that's why I needed to develop a thick skin fast because when adults write, they're writing in to complain. When kids write, it's like all love. That's
Oh
that's
yeah.
the big difference. And the adults will complain. Although I will say that over time, through the course of the strip, I noticed that the hate letters were getting a lot kinder. Like they would usually start off with "I
Mhm.
love your strip," but there would be the the but letters. So
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they
You
hone in
forgot
on
to dot an I here.
yeah.
So moving into, I guess, some of the craft work, that's also it's beautifully drawn,
Oh,
beautifully
thanks.
lettered, by the way.
Thank you.
Um,
Well, that's not my lettering. That was a font, I have to admit.
okay, well, either way, it's a beautiful choice of
Thank
font,
you. I,
beautiful
I
choice of
hated
font.
my handwriting at the time. So I've come a long way actually, because now I handwrite all the books. Go figure. Anyway, sorry, go
No, no, you're good.
ahead.
So you used a bunch of recurring motifs during that, so like those 80s Jill, the to-do list, which is great.
Thank
How did you keep that running fresh over all those years?
like 80s Jill,
All these
right
motifs, is
to-
everything that you instituted, was it just stream of consciousness? You know, this is a fun thing to try this week, or
oh yeah, 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 different devices. Yeah, I had what was the other one that I used a lot? There was Murphy's Law, there was some kind of dictionary thing. I'm trying to remember. Wait, it's in one of the books.
oh, you brought it into the books as well?
The Parents' Glossary of Terms.
All right.
That was it, the Parents' Glossary of Terms. I love doing spoofy things. I would do like song parodies on Sundays, and I remember the salespeople yelling at me in the beginning because I would just like throw in so much text on the, especially on the Sunday strips. Like I got a little better through the years, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
that
think
might have been like the
Francesco.
greeting card me coming out, just using a lot of those different devices because I loved it, labeling things like that. I think it just depended on the strip. Like if I thought it was a good device for a particular idea, that would come out rather than just pure narrative and dialogue.
Okay.
And I love to mix it up. I love to change it up and try new things. So I think that's why.
Well, that's great. I think also readers connect to that. So it's an awesome,
Yeah.
smart
80s
design
Reel is
too.
great though. I should use her.
Yes, yes, you should. Yes, you should. We can talk about that. We can talk about that offline.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there's a redux coming or something. No, I kid, I kid,
Ooh.
I kid, I kid, I kid. And so, were there any? I'm sure there were, but that you can remember. Any gags that you love that the editors like vetoed?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. Not really. Well, I'm sure there were. I just can't remember them.
Yeah.
But I will say, I've had a lot of questions from other cartoonists come up through the years because I got away with a lot of stuff that other cartoonists could not get away with. Like I really like, I love to sort of
Yeah.
teeter the line a bit, um, especially when it came to like sex. And
Yeah.
I did that early on, and Jay encouraged it. It was amazing. So what happened was, and in fact, like I started to reel myself in a bit
Hmm.
because I thought it was like way too out there in the beginning. Like I actually cringe at some of the early strips I did. Like, oh my God, that was
Uh,
extreme.
if you look at
And
some of the web comics today, yes, there's a ooh. So
oh, okay, well, yeah, that's
yeah,
that's a totally different
that's
story. But yeah,
another.
I'm like, yeah, on the funny pages in your local newspaper, this
Oh
like
yeah,
some of the stuff I was doing, like I can't believe they let it fly. But that's one of the things Jay really liked about the strip. And so I was able to do it early on and sort of keep it up, and that's why I was able to get away with that stuff. But yeah, strangely, I kind of, I don't know if it was just me getting older, but I kind of, I definitely addressed it, but I kind of toned it down or tried to make it a little, more clever, I
yeah,
guess, as the years went along.
yeah. I'm sure this is it's myself on today, but the editorial team, Amy, Jen, Aylish, shout
Yeah.
out to all of the lovely team down there in Florida. I'm sure they have stories for days that we should dig up and talk about the things that they've had to
Yeah.
subject, over the
Oh,
years they've been here.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and they probably remember things I don't at this point, too.
probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, So before we get to, I also want to touch on Emmy and Friends again, but before we get
Sure.
there, um, I guess the end of the strip, right? And
Yeah.
and endings are hard, right? But how did
Yeah.
how did you know it was time to close the diary?
Uh, yeah, that was tough. Yeah. So it was really because of the books, pure and simple. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. I felt like I was kind of winding down in my mind a little bit, and I don't know if it's because the characters do age in real time and they were approaching that whole empty nest thing. Although honestly, in hindsight, I'm like, oh no, there would have been so much more material even after that. I can say now safely, but I don't. I think I felt like I think I think I did kind of feel it. Like
Yeah.
I had already branched off into doing books. I did, let's see, Invisible Emmy came out in 2017, and then I was doing books on a yearly basis. So I had like 3 books under my belt, I think, by the time um, Pajama Diaries retired. Um, Maybe 4, I can't remember. But it was getting harder and harder to do both.
Yeah.
And at that point, something had to give. And at the time, I was also offered a contract for what I call a supplemental book
Hmm.
that goes with the series. It was like a cross between a journal and an activity book. And it's to me, it was like right up my alley. It sounded like something so fun to do, and it was a blast. But that was my breaking point. I could not do two books and the comic strip at the same time. Um,
Yeah.
unless, yeah, yeah, no, unless I didn't want to sleep anymore. So I think between the fact that I felt like the characters were winding down a little bit, and the
Yeah.
books were just, they were starting
They're
to
starting to pick
gain a
up and
lot more
everything.
traction. Yeah. Um, I felt like that was it. That was a choice I had to make. But at the same time, like I don't regret it,
Yeah.
but I definitely missed the strip
Yeah.
at times for sure. Uh, but but at the same time, I'm kind of glad it ended when it did. I think it had a really good run.
Yeah.
It didn't make it to the 15-year mark. I think it barely made it to 14, but it had a great run, and yeah, I absolutely loved it.
Well, and it lives on in reprints, right?
Yeah.
And obviously we resyndicated on Comics Kingdom Daily, so you can go through those cycles and start from the beginning. Right? We have the full archive there. Um, One of the things, I guess, maybe on that point, as a new reader, I guess what would you want them to take from discovering the reprints today, and or is there like a starter slice that you would give a new reader and say this is where you should start?
Oh my God. I'd say skip 2006. Go to 2007. There are a lot of cringy ones from 2006.
Those might be the best. Yeah, those might be gold. We got to think about. Yeah.
It's so funny because I've seen some strips that this did not age well, more of a product of its time. Um, but then there's some I'm so proud of, and I remember like just certain years
Yeah.
where I felt like I was like more on a roll than others. But I'd say like, just go for the ride and watch the family evolve and and just have fun with it and and forgive me for some of the cringier ones.
I touched on it briefly when we talked about sex and comics, and obviously web comics are a different beast these days. But as you obviously have seen web comics
Mhm.
and today's comics at large, do you see any of your Pajama Diaries DNA in them?
Oh, I have to be very honest here. I barely have time to read comics anymore, which is horrible. I do. I do
Okay,
like
it's okay.
I do it here and there. I'm just not consistent.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. I have seen more parenting type of strip or parenting type of web comics, and some of them are just brilliant. Uh, and I think it's needed. Like
Yeah.
I always feel like you kind of need that relatability because if you're really in the middle of it, it helps and it
Yeah.
helps to find the humor in the situation. Um, so yeah, I've definitely noticed like the relatable parent type of stuff more in webcomic form. Other than that, I don't know. I know like when I first created the strip, it seemed like the diary format
Yeah.
was kind of the rage then. There was like Bridget Jones' Diary, there were things like that, and that probably just kind of seeped into my consciousness that way. And I don't, I don't remember specifically saying, "Oh, I have to do a diary," but I just remember like it would be nice to have like that narrative so you could really get into her thoughts.
Yeah.
And be kind of, kind of it was kind of voyeuristic and that whole thing. So, but so I don't know. I see more of the narrative stuff in graphic novels.
Yeah.
There's so many memoirs. There's a lot, graphic medicine type of
Hmm.
graphic novels, lots of that stuff. But I'm not sure if I just don't keep up with webcomics enough to really,
Well, that's
notice.
fair. And there's so much of it too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you can think of
yeah.
social media to obviously Comics Kingdom, and there's all other websites that you can go to, all sorts of places to find that stuff. and there's
course.
no shortage of amazing stuff out there. But yeah, I definitely see some of the DNA in there.
Oh, good. Really?
So
You'll
that's
have to
good.
tell me.
That's good. That's good. Um, I guess segueing quickly into Emmy and Friends, and obviously culminating in the end of the strip. What carried over from the Pajama Diaries, or what
Oh,
didn't?
sure. Yeah, yeah. There was definitely some carryover. I based Invisible Emmy off of myself, but instead of, using my point of view as an adult, as Jill, I thought of when I was about 12 years old and used that point of view. So that became like
Hmm?
this quiet, shy, artistic kid. So actually very different from Jill, but still me. Um, and so it was writing that was it was almost like writing about myself again. And she carries over through a lot of the books, so she's still there. And then, I just kind of inject a lot of myself into the other characters too, or my family or friends. Their personalities will come out too, just like they did in the comic strip. Um, and I think a lot of the humor is still there. I mean, the books are, hopefully one of my main goals is for them to be not just relatable but funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my humor is my humor. So other than not talking about sex, that's pretty consistent. And I still use a lot of those fun devices in there too. Like it's full of like fun labeling and other things that you would notice just in the little illustrations or even in the graphic novel portions. So
Also,
I
we have the
think,
to-do
yeah.
list again. I haven't picked up one of the books, so I haven't have to go chase it down.
I'm sorry.
You have the to-do list in Emmy and Friends?
Oh, I'm sure there's one in there.
Yeah,
There are lists. There are definitely lists.
we're gonna have to find it. We're gonna have to find it.
Yeah, there is a character who's like in one of my books who's incredibly anal retentive and a perfectionist, which is definitely part of my personality. I mean, she's much more of a leader than I ever was, but yeah, she's like list girl. So,
Okay, okay.
so I'm sure there is in that one, if anything.
So Terry, before we leave, there's one thing I like to do with our record our podcast partners here and creators that come on. A quick lightning round.
Uh-oh.
Just
Okay.
simple lightning round.
Terrible at these, but let's do it.
This will be fun. This will be fun. This will be fun. I
Okay.
promise. I promise. Well, maybe. Let's see. I'll try. So really quickly, strong coffee, herbal tea.
Oh, strong coffee. That was easy.
Oh yeah. See, softballs. These are softballs.
Softball.
Favorite art tool you'd rescue in a fire.
Oh my God. Art tool. Maybe my Cintiq. I don't know. That thing weighs a lot though, and I'd have to pry it off my.
Yeah, I
It's
don't know if you're coming
like
in there with
adhered
rescue
to
that
my
in a fire.
desk.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, is there a strip you wish you'd written, not your own?
Oh, many.
On the
A
spot.
lot.
On the spot.
No, I get. Oh God, I cannot think.
It's okay. We can skip over that one.
Thank you.
And then the perfect four-panel structure. 3 words
The perfect four-panel structure
in 3 words.
in 3 words. Um, oh, see, I'm overthinking this. I'm
That's the fun.
overthinking.
That's the
I
fun in
just
it.
see like four blank panels in my head and with like three dots above my head. Um, perfect, perfect. Can I just combine them into one single panel
You
and
know what?
just have the
I
perfect
guess for this,
conflict?
yeah, I think it'd be good. Yeah, for this, I think one nice horizontal.
What? How do most people answer that?
That's a new one. That's actually new. I tossed that
Oh,
for the first
okay. I
time.
did not. I set the bar really low there.
No, 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 no,
I
no.
just, I just, I just went completely blank.
That's a, it speaks to the artistic part of this stuff, right? Like you have to visualize it, and you
Yeah.
gotta actually put it together. So yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
Strangely, I'm seeing it sort of in a square format. I don't know why. The four panels?
Yeah, yeah. That's how I see it. It's just
Okay.
top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, and just have
Yeah. I don't know why, because you would think it would be in strip form, but
Yeah, you're gonna be stuck with this. You're welcome. This whole weekend, you'll be
oh
thinking about your
God.
perfect format. I don't know. Well,
Brain hurts.
Terry, this, of course, has been our cozy dive into Pajama Diaries.
Oh,
I say a
thanks.
huge thank you for obviously Terri Libenson joining us here, giving us a decade plus, right, of sharp, empathetic laughs.
Oh,
And of course, to you for listening.
thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Before actually lasting the call out, where can we find you, Terry, and keep up with everything that?
Well, you can find me here at my desk most days,
Mhm.
chained to it usually. But if you really want to want to find what I'm doing, really my website. I'm pretty good about updating my website, and I have a blog on it. So it's just terrilibenson.com. And lots of links to all the book stuff, even to the comic strip. It'll link you right to Comics Kingdom, and then and to some actually Pajama Diaries cards that I have through Nobleworks. So
Oh,
there's
right.
for that. They're fun and yeah, and lots of great activities like for kids they're a little more book related. The series, I mean. But yeah, lots of stuff and all my goings on. So if I have talks, if I'm doing tours, all that stuff is up on the website.
Any upcoming book release?
I have a so book 10 will be coming out. I can't reveal anything yet. It's still
Mhm.
kind of in the works. It's actually going to have more of a delayed deadline. I was sort of vying for it this time, so I get a little more time to work on it. Normally they come out in May, but this is going to be closer to fall of 2026.
Okay.
But yeah, but it's a fun one. So
Okay. Okay. We'll stay tuned. So terrylibenson.com. Obviously links to all your socials and everything we can find there as well. And without, of course, comicskingdom.com, you can come read Pajama Diaries and find more of Terry, more about Terry on the site, I should say. Needless to say, if you've enjoyed today's show, follow Inside the Kingdom, leave us a review. It helps other comic fans find us. And that's it. Until next time.
thank you.